would choose to tell a young adult or a young Christian professional that they should join Cubed Living because they're already a motivated individual and they have a passion about coming alongside other people who are like-minded and really just pursuing the calling that they know they have deep down inside.
So what makes Cubed Living unique is that it's not just founded on one thought or one idea. There are three things that Cubed Living is really founded on, and I find that a lot of leadership programs, they might have one of these. They might have a good community, a good group of people that are connected to one another, or they might have a good connection and service to the community, or they might have even an emphasis on Christ. But what makes Cubed Living unique is that it combines Christ, community, and calling. Because we're not just people who believe in Jesus, and we're not just people who believe in Jesus and exist in a community. We are people who exist in a community and have a calling to serve one another within the community and outside of ourselves in our local community.
Some of the fundamental skills that we're going to be training these students in are: one, teamwork. Team building is one of the most important skills you can have as a leader. And besides that, we want to teach servant leadership. So many times we live in a generation that is me. And we want to teach these students that it is about serving others. It is about being like Jesus when he washed the disciples' feet and putting others before yourself. And that's what it means to be a true leader.
When I actually arrived at the university that I really felt like God had called me to, I was totally out of my element. This Southern boy had never been out of the Southeast. I think maybe one trip to Canada. But now I was living in a completely different environment. Everybody talked different. You know, I was the kid that just really drew out my words, and it was just different. So I get there. Everybody else has jobs. They've always lived in that, neighborhood and that area. And this small Christian college I find myself at, I can't find a job. And so I start cleaning someone's house, and I'm doing laundry for the guys in the dorm. And finally, I land a job at a mortgage company. But it was really hard to find all of those different ways to make a living in this new environment.
Going into adulthood is different for everyone, at different types of times in their life. But for me, I think it was going from high school to college, because that was the time where I was leaving my parents, going out on my own, not completely on my own because I was still under their dime, but I was still on my own, making my own decisions and with new responsibilities. And the biggest question I think that a lot of kids run into when they leave high school is because there's this shift from being a high school student to now making something of yourself. And there's that question, whatever decision I make now is going to be what determines who I am for the rest of my life. At least that's what you're thinking when you're 18. And so my first thought was, well, I want to go out big. So I wanted to be a doctor, a medical doctor. So I started in pre-med and in college. However, that didn't turn out. Biology was not my favorite subject. Got a C in 2 classes, and I realized I needed to make a change. And so just that process of figuring out what I wanted to do with my own life, even as a freshman in college and sophomore and junior, changing so many times, that was probably the most difficult part of becoming an adult and making those first big decisions in my life.
I would say what makes me most excited about Cubed Living and these young leaders is going to be making a connection with them and getting to know them, just being able to find out what makes them tick and share my heart and hear theirs. And I just have a passion to get to know kids and to really see God make them everything they've been called to be. And so it's going to be really fun to watch that transformation happen.
Some of the ways that we're going to teach our leadership concepts are varied. We're going to have book studies and small group discussions. We're going to have personal reflections. There will also be opportunities for the students to do small group as well as individual and large group challenges. We will also have some planned adventures we go on together for team building. But then those things are going to be transferred into an experiential learning environment where they take the things that they have just learned from all of those different avenues I just mentioned, and they're going to walk them out and act them out. And that's going to be what sticks.
I think when you define leadership and success, it's a personal definition, but for me, leadership and success, I would define success as fulfilling the calling that God has placed on your life. It doesn't mean that you're successful by man's standards, but that you're successful by God's standards. And for leadership, it means leading not just because you're in a position, but leading because people choose to follow you as a leader, regardless of your position.
Well, I'm really hoping that we see a lot of students who think outside themselves, students with integrity and passion, a real desire to actually make a difference in their community. Students that care about one another and are looking to make a connection with other people, that have a mindset for community and kind of a global mindset. They realize, who God is and who they can be through Him, and they're driven to see God's plan become real in their life.
So for me, I was completely blessed as a freshman at college. It was in my second semester that I had been selected by the president of the college to be in one of his mentoring groups. And so me and 4 other guys got to spend 2 hours a week with President Cope, and we got to talk about everything in life, where we were going, what we were called to do. And he just took, like I said, 2 to 3 hours a week and just breathed life into us, spent time with us. And so it was something that you just couldn't find anywhere.
If I could give one piece of advice to any college student that was coming into the workforce, I would tell them the same thing that a pastor told me about 8 years ago, and that is trust the Lord to an extent that He can even bring you back when you make the wrong choices.